So, like, do I just put you in everything, or... Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today I'm kind of going to be asking a question. And what I want to know today is, do you put the One Ring into a fair deck that cannot just combo off with it? Now, yesterday we saw the power of the One Ring in a dedicated combo shell, and if you didn't see that video, I highly recommend you check it out. It is just wildly insane what you can do when you go infinite with that card. But today we're going to try something different, and I'm going to explain why I'm doing this. I've started seeing interesting decks that essentially take a known archetype like Merfolk and just shove 4 copies of the One Ring into it, and it is just supposed to be good. Now, obviously we know that a Merfolk deck can never actually be good. We've already established that plenty of times, but what if we take another established deck and apply the same sort of logic to it? What if we take the mono red prison, Moon Stompy, whatever deck you want to call it in Legacy, and just take out something like a Legion War Boss and replace it with 4 copies of the One Ring? Now, I'm probably going to be playing in a tournament in the not too distant future, maybe playing this deck, more on that in a second, but I, as a competitive player, need to know, like, is this something that is good that I should be testing? Because if this is true in theory, it is really going to change how, like, creature-centric decks are going to be built in Legacy. So the event I'm actually thinking about playing this deck in is actually this one down below. If you're looking for something to do in August and you want a chance to meet me and maybe get some of my tokens, consider checking this out. The Gathering Place is running their own little con, and it is going to benefit the Children's Miracle Network hospitals through the Extra Life program. I'm going to be there playing Commander on Friday night for a Commander FNM. I'm going to play a Legacy 5K on Saturday, and I'm not sure which one of their events I'm going to play Sunday. I'll link all the information for this down below. Now, in addition to the Gathering Place, today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com as well as Cool Stuff Inc. And remember, if you end up needing some magic singles, promo code ThrabenU will save 5% on your order at checkout at Cool Stuff Inc. So the deck list that I'm going to play here is a very slightly altered version of a top 16 deck list from one of the Legacy challenges over the weekend. I took out 2 Den of the Bugbears for just 2 regular old mountains, and I split the mountains with snow-covered mountains. Otherwise, the 75 is unaltered. This is a very traditional Moon Stompy deck list with kind of no spice, no kind of interesting choices other than the One Ring, which is kind of the defining way that this deck is different from a more normal version. Although this deck list is playing both Trinisphere and Chalice of the Void, and sometimes in the more recent builds, they've been shifting away from these pieces, instead opting to just get the opponent dead in game 1. So let's see this in action. Let's see if the One Ring is good in a fair deck, or whether this is just kind of overhyped in a fair shell like this one. Let's battle. Okay, the opening hand is probably going to be a keep. I am on the draw, so I will get information about whether or not I should just kind of jam Caves of Chaos Adventurer on turn 1 immediately. I probably will just do that, looking at this hand. Like, this hand kind of does one thing. We're hoping not to see blue here. So Underground Sea may or may not be indicative of a Daze deck. If I am scared, I can wait a turn, but waiting a turn means that Thoughtseize and friends start becoming a way to take this out of my hand. I can probably just lead on Goblin Rabblemaster now. I probably pitch Fury here. I will play this in a way where it can be dazed. My opponent is a big fan. I'll be imprinting Fury here. And we are doing Goblin Rabblemaster around Daze. Got him. We get a little bit of... My opponent said they were a fan. I told them they were in a video. And then I got them with that play. Good luck, have fun. Thank you. But I am I am looking to monopolize the fun here. We are in try hard fill mode today, which we don't get a lot on this channel. It's a lot of memes. It's a lot of vibes. Oh yeah, see, this is exactly what I was talking about. Fucking disgusting. I think I play around days again. Like it's just so strong to do so here. This just helps so much against a single card like a Snuff Out removing one of these. Big dammies. If we are playing against something like Doomsday, this is pretty much the end for them. But I fully don't know whether we're playing against like a Delver deck, a Shadow deck, a Doomsday deck, something spicier like Blue-Black Reanimator. I won't know, and accordingly, sideboarding is going to be tough here. So this is kind of the pile of stuff that I can be considering, but I'm operating on very limited information here. Fury is probably the wild card on my end, where I'm not actually sure how good it is going to be. If my opponent has small creatures like Orcish Bowmasters, like it's obviously great, but otherwise, eh. And I'm pretty medium on Trinisphere on the draw, so these are kind of the things that I'm thinking about cutting. Pyroblast will rarely be bad, but is perhaps not insane. It's also awkward to like bring these things in if I am going to leave in Chalice. I think in a vacuum, even though my opponent is on the play, I don't know what their basic situation is. I'm probably going to bring in a couple copies of Magus, and then it's some amount of these things to fill things out. Fiery Confluence is also not an insane play in a vacuum. The issue here, and I'm going to think about this for a minute, is that if my opponent is something spicy like Blue-Black Reanimator and I board out Trinisphere, my best way to just end the game has exited my deck. I think I'm going to kind of do a half measure here and board out a couple Fury for a few copies of these things. I don't know. Maybe I just get rid of all of these. Like, my opponent could randomly be playing things like Baleful Strix. I don't think you want to play Baleful Strix in an Orcish Bowmaster's world, though. Let's try this for the game that's on the play. Or sorry, where they are on the play. Yeah, keep. Now, this hand is going to be a touch different than the last one in terms of some sequencing here, because it's much more important to me that my Chrome Mox resolves this time. Alright, there is a Dragon Rage Channeler. I will be playing a City of Traders first, followed by another play of some kind. I believe I will just be jamming a Blood Moon here. Like, I can do a Chalice around days, but if, and this is an if I play this Blood Moon and this Blood Moon resolves, then I get a better mana pattern moving forward for the remainder of this game. So I'm now hoping not to get wastelanded and jam a Caves of Chaos Adventurer next turn in all likelihood. But there's some timelines in which I play a Chalice of the Void first so that Caves of Chaos Adventurer doesn't just eat Lightning Bolt. So my opponent is on Grixis Delver. It looks like only 2 card types in graveyard, which is nice for me. Got Snuff Out to think about. Shatterskull Smashing as a spell is looking really reasonable right now. It might not continue to be that way, though. I think I'm dead to another counterspell. Otherwise, this line is really fucking good. I cast this for 1 each on these, which costs me 4 mana and just clears the board. Nice, it worked. If we are not just immediately under siege by something like a Murktide Regent, Chalice of the Void into Caves of Chaos Adventurer is really strong. And I think I do take the turn to Chalice first so this doesn't get lightning bolted. That just feels smart at this stage. Like, I've taken down a lot of my opponent's resources, but Lightning Bolt is like very much a card that my opponent would be likely to have based on the texture of this game so far. Yep. So Murktide Regent is now the card that beats me. Ooh. I think I'm going aggro here rather than playing that. I will pay the life, I lose city. And the reason I want to play this one is I want to fish the basic land out of my deck while also just accelerating the course of this game. I've already made my land drop, so we're good here. I guess a end of turn Brazen Borrower could be a little annoying. End of turn Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. That can allow my opponent to take the initiative. I feel like I chose correctly in terms of sequencing this game here. I believe my opponent just drew a cantrip and then remembered Chalice of the Void. I think their card in hand is a dead card. Alright, they're going to bust in with both of these. My opponent can't have double Bowmasters right now. I think I just take out this token. If they have another Bowmasters later, I think I would rather them have a new 1/1 rather than a larger creature. I think that's where I'm at with that. We'll now see if they have a basic, which they do not, so my Magus of the Moon is going to be quite good here. Oh, fuck, they have Murktide Regent as their final card. Well, we knew that was going to be a problem. We were just hoping to dodge. And it is specifically a 6/6. I can play Ancient Tomb. Yeah, I don't like where this game is at. I think I am supposed to Ancient Tomb this turn and then One Ring the following turn to just get straight up protection from everything. Because I can go to 9, that taking the 7 is okay. Or hopefully it's just 6 actually, because the One Ring is a thing. Like I need to cast that presumably off of Ancient Tomb. I will go ahead and Forge. I will Forge onto the one that can attack right now. And we'll go ahead and battle. Oh, I've shown my opponent a One Ring. Alright, they are just going to take that. I'm going to confirm that I have played a land here. I have. I think I am okay. I think the One Ring just ends up getting me there, just for the protection mode. My opponent is going to hit me for 6. They're going to Forge counters onto Orcish Bowmaster, so they can trade with my smaller Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe earlier when I was supposed to remove the token, I was supposed to kill Orcish Bowmasters instead, playing towards One Ring. I don't really intend on drawing a card with the One Ring ever, though. Not right now, anyway. Right, Magus of the Moon is cool. I don't think I am playing that pre-combat. Like, I think it's always just the One Ring. Alright. Let's crash in. There's an Ancient Tomb. And a Mountain. Ooh, it is another Orcish Bowmasters. Chalice sure didn't shut off things, did it? I need them not to ping me. Well, they pinged me. Now they have a bunch of bodies. You need to block with everything here. Yup. So... Or no, I just mathed wrong. I was sweating it for nothing. Wrap just kills my opponent. Yeah, that was a very close game. GG's. Okay, but assuming Orcish Bowmasters didn't happen there and assuming my opponent wasn't actively dead, like, the One Ring fogging 6 points of damage would have been huge there. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to host your online deck lists, and I don't think it's close. I think it's wonderfully organized, and you can have a great system of folders so that you can go through, separate your decks by whatever you want. I separate mine by format. I have just a few legacy decks, and Moxfield is able to keep track of all the decks that even someone like me makes. So please consider checking them out. All right, round 2 here. I'm on the play. I don't have a turn 1 play. I think I'm just going to play this as a tapped land here, rather than save it for a Chrome Mox as of right now. This opens me up to Wasteland on turn 1, but since I have 3 more mana worth of lands in my hand, I'm okay with this being Wastelanded. And then based on what I'm seeing from my opponent, I'll decide whether or not I'm leading on Trinisphere or Goblin Rabblemaster. Human. And Chrome Mox, maybe an initiative deck. Looking like that. Another Chrome Mox. Alright, this is a red-white initiative deck list. Probably something pretty similar to what I played last week on my channel. Alright. This is awkwardly good versus Fury right now. which probably means that I just make Mountain as my land drop for the turn and use Spirit Guide and City of Traders next turn to hardcast a Fury. Awkward. Makes my start like very noticeably worse. This is my first time being on the wrong side of this card, but my personal evaluation of this card is that it is pretty medium. Haha, don't mind that. I do this here, and we'll try to nuke this card. Alright, so my opponent does get tempted by the ring. They have no ring bearer currently, so that doesn't have real text as of right now. And we'll see if this gets hit with a Swords to Plowshares or something. It's pretty likely that my opponent has like 4-drop creatures in their hand that they cannot deploy right now because they do not have enough mana. It is another one, sure. Blood Moon doesn't seem great for me currently. With 1 more mana, I get to just hardcast a Fury. If I play Trinisphere, it makes like Chrome Mox and Solitude and potentially Lotus Petal worse for my opponent. I think Blood Moon is fully not a card here. Goblin Rabblemaster becomes reasonable next turn, and it's possible my opponent does not block the token here to play around Dead Gone specifically, but they might be under enough pressure that they just take the block. I still just get in 6 points of damage this turn, which is perfectly reasonable. I also have a relatively large number of draws that lead me to hardcasting Fury on my next turn. This also isn't a relevant type for Seasoned Dungeoneer, that matters too. Okay, it is a Caves of Chaos Adventurer instead. That does get them another basic, and this card has Vigilance, so they do get to crash in. Alright, good stuff. There is another mana source. Do I want to do a post-combat Fury? The Indestructible is a little awkward here. Forge is just very awkward. I think I'm just not attacking with Fury. Alright. I'll go ahead and do this. I guess I target Caves of Chaos Adventurer and force the sacrifice and not give them the option. Because this is the one that I want dead, because it tramples. But I imagine my opponent just sacks the Ring Temps, which now is a looting effect. So I think I just throw away Goblin Rabblemaster to take the initiative from my opponent. Presumably. I mean, Solitude can happen. But then I have 2 double striking bodies that help me hold the initiative afterwards. I'll grab my land. I already made a land drop. But yeah, the double strike is particularly strong here in multiple different regards. Alright, opponent's got a land drop. Alright, they have gained the ability to take the initiative back. Forge is quite strong. So they get to loot and do some other nonsense. So I guess I'm wondering if my opponent made a mistake or whether they just have a removal spell. Because they might have just straight up made a mistake in attacking into 2 double strikers. And this is one of those times where I haven't played enough against this particular opponent to know the answer to this. I think I take the block. I think I'm not in great shape if they have a removal spell anyway. Okay, yeah, they just kind of threw away a body there. The combat could have gone differently, is all I'm saying. Alright, we're going aggro. Make a token. Send everyone on in there. Alright, they're going to take a regular old block here. So with first strike combat damage, I get to take the initiative, meaning that I get to forge. When I forge, I am just going to go ahead and forge up Fury, meaning that I deal additional damage in the regular combat damage step. And my opponent's attack plus trap does not kill me, but me reaching trap in any capacity kills them, and I'm going to have at least 4 bodies that are going to be able to attack. So I imagine we're probably donezo here. Sure, like, you can take that body, but Goblin Rabblemaster still represents so much here. Yeah, this is leaving my opponent deterministically dead. Yep, that's fine. Yeah, so you hit me, but you're dead on board for this line. Like, you can touch the Spirit Realm, the Goblin Rabblemaster, and that prevents me from getting another body, which is kind of a big deal. Yeah, we're not gonna show my opponent that. Yeah, and they see the writing on the wall. So, I would like to get rid of Chalice of the Void and Trinosphere, if possible. Neither one of those cards is particularly good. We're just going to be looking for more removal spells. So this is 7 of these out for 6 of these in. From here, Blood Moon isn't particularly good. My opponent has artifact mana and is partially base red anyway. So we're probably going to sub 2 Blood Moons for 2 copies of Magus of the Moon. From here, I can consider playing Emrakul as something that I can hit off Throne of the Dead 3. And that's not irrelevant. But I think I am just going to play one more Blood Moon fully as something that pitches to Chrome Mox and Fury. My hand is going to be a keep. It can early Magus of the Moon if I believe that that is a thing that I need to do, but I'm probably going to be more interested in something like early Goblin Rabblemaster or early Fable instead. I can take my opponent off white. But I think Fable is just the best thing to do in the face of an expected Swords to Plowshares, or Dead Gone for that matter. My opponent gets to cheat and go up to 3 mana this turn. Anointed Peacekeeper is fine. Whatever they name, I will probably just end up looting away. Okay, they have named Goblin Rabblemaster. That's fine. Ooh. So the big thing that I need to do this turn is decide whether or not I want to actually play Magus of the Moon. My opponent has shown me 2 non-basic land cards. I can knock them off white and a soul land simultaneously, which is strong. I am going to loot here. I'm not the most interested in this given exactly what I am seeing right now, and I might not need Spirit Guide. I'm going to pitch these 2 and see where we end up. Is another Fury. I'm going to Fury pitching one of these 2 cards and then cast the other one. I think since they were more scared of Goblin Rabblemaster, I pitch Magus of the Moon. I'm just going to go ahead and nuke their creature. And I think I do play Goblin Rabblemaster this turn over the One Ring. Note, I am expecting to have an extra mana here. Okay, there is a Solitude. They did that in a way that gave me an extra Goblin token. They did not have to do that. I don't think my opponent is very experienced with their deck. And honestly, maybe since they're not experienced with their deck, I should not have trusted their card evaluation, and I should have just played Magus of the Moon. Alright, there's a 4th mana for a Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Well, guess what? I am going to Fury that and take the initiative. Or how it's probably going to work is I'm going to take the initiative and then Fury that. Rather. I have 4 mana pre-combat. So, ship on in. Alright, so this gets me another basic land. And now I only need to use one of my treasures to do this. I get to take out Caves of Chaos Adventurer. And my board currently has the ability to copy that next turn and every turn for the rest of the game. And my opponent's haste creatures can't take the initiative this turn. They're down on mana, so we're good, basically. Yeah, I think my opponent had better lines than the ones that they took in this game. GG's. Okay, I don't like this opening hand. I only have 1 mana. Easy mulligan here. I am on the play. This is turn 1, Mountain, turn 2, Fable or Rabblemaster. This hand is going to be a keep. I think I'm going to keep this and pitch the Fury here. It's possible that play is wrong, though. It just is fully dependent on whether or not my opponent is playing a creature-based deck that I need to remove a creature so that, like, Goblin Rabblemaster or Fable tokens can crash in. I do not care about Thoughtseize with this hand. Like, I have a valid play for the next 2 turns, no matter what my opponent takes here. Rebel Boy is gone. Here he came back. I could take a land drop here to play around days, but I think it is correct to just jam 2 turns in a row and hope one of the 2 of them resolves. Alright, this one doesn't. Pitching a Thassa's Oracle. Oh, so we are potentially playing against Doomsday here. Oh, sorry, had a bit of a coughing fit. Pollen is brutal right now. Okay. There's an LED. Ooh, we're getting spicy. They are going to play a Doomsday off of Ponder. So, if they don't have 2 copies of Thassa's Oracle, they are dead, but I presume that they do. Alright, so there are Dazes. Edge of Autumns aren't in the pile. Personal Tutor is a thing. Oh, that's really effing good, probably. So I can soak Kenzen to mess with my opponent's life total. And I'm not seeing Street Wraiths here, but I have a feeling that this... Or no, I can't actually soak Kenzen right now. If they didn't build their pile with an extra land, maybe multiple extra lands, this probably just wins me the game. Hey, we did it. So I will probably go ahead and play Magus and Pyroblast. Fire Confluence is an option. It's a great thing to finish my opponent off after pass the turn Doomsday lines. I do not believe that I'm interested in the One Ring in this matchup specifically. Like, unless my opponent pivots into creatures like Murktide Regent out of the sideboard, like, this is just card draw, and while it is absolutely fine as card draw, I think I'm more interested in other things here. Fury is not at its best. Like, it's a little hard for me to get to 5 mana before my opponent does cool things. I might just sub Fury with Fiery Confluence, just because Fiery Confluence does get kills, and sometimes my opponent will play out like Artifact Mana where that becomes relevant as well. I think I'm good with this. Yeah, this attempts turn 1 and turn 2 Blood Moon effects. I'm fully good with this. I also can Simian Spirit Guide Pyroblast as a build your own Force of Will if I need to. At least in my opponent's first turn cycle, but I don't imagine that I'm going to need to do that. But I've fully been wrong before. As tempted as I am, I'm not going to mess with that. I think the Spirit Guide is more valuable for attempting a turn 1 Magus or Blood Moon. Yep, that's fine. Yep. Alright, there is a turn 1 Doomsday. My opponent has 3 cards remaining. Okay, my opponent is at 8. I see 3 copies of Force of Will in their pile here, which is awkward. So almost no matter what I do this turn, it probably eats a Force of Will. I believe I play Magus of the Moon. Magus of the Moon attacks for 2 and dodges Force of Negation. Let's attempt this. Yep. And we'll see if I die. I don't know, like, what amount of resources and what amount of, like, anti-disruption my opponent was planning on doing against me. Alright, they are taking Blood Moon here. So, if I attack with a Goblin Rabblemaster token, that puts them to 1 and kills them the following turn. I can also just hold up Pyroblast. But if I hold up Pyroblast... Yeah, they did just use that Force of Will, right? Force of Will, Force of Will, Force of Will. Yeah, I just hold up Pyroblast for Thassa's Oracle. And see if they can beat that. I think that's better than trying to kill them next turn. I think it's just significantly safer. See no Dazes here. I think means those have been boarded out. If I'm wrong, I die for that decision. Okay, my opponent just cannot beat Pyroblast if I hold it up, and they have conceded. GG. I believe we're 3-0 now. Okay, so Chalice of the Void on the play, a keepable hand does not make. This is Mountain, Chromox, Spirit Guide, Chalice. With any land drop, I can play a Fury as a follow-up threat to that. I think I have to math. I don't want to math, but I think I have to math. How many misses do I have? Chromox is a miss. Drawing another Fury is a miss. Chalice on 2, I think I would consider a miss. So I think I already have one of these. I think I have 11 misses out of 53. Roughly 20% of the time, I don't like how this hand proceeds from here. The remaining 80% of the time, I like how this hand goes. I think this hand is tough, but I think I keep it. I think the hand as it appears on screen is bad, but roughly 80% of the time, it will be improved by my next draw so that I can cast either another lock piece or another threat. All right, here we go. Yeah. Chalice on 1. We'll see if that ends up being good in the matchup. Does not. Rough. It's okay. Like if my opponent plays a creature here and I draw a land, like this is perfectly reasonable, right? Like if they play an initiative creature and I get a Fury here, like it is legit. All right, they've got a Plains. Yep, okay. So we were not in a Chalice of the Void matchup, which is a problem. But from here, it depends on how good the rest of my opponent's hand is. Like, I have kept them down from going down the Forge trap route that secures them an early aggressive route to victory. We just need to see where... Oh, that gives them protection from everything, which allows them to hold the initiative for a turn. Which is good. And I should not attack. I'm going to get buried by the One Ring here. In all likelihood. Like, there's some amount of tension here because this is a lot of self-damage, but I was kind of virtually on a mulligan anyway. Like, I used a lot of mana to get to where I am now. This is almost certainly a Solitude. Unfortunate because I'm a mana short of doing this. Womp womp. Alright, get in there. Yeah. And I hold this in an attempt to take the initiative back. Yeah. So now my opponent has Solitude, which helps them gain life so that they can offset the damage from the One Ring. My opponent has 9 cards in hand. And is probably going to Throne of the Dead 3 here. That is quite powerful. Yep. I am comfortable conceding here. Yeah. I don't regret my mulligan decision, and it in fact worked out the way that I intended it to, but the One Ring stopped me from getting the initiative and saved my opponent's 6 life, both of which were incredibly relevant here. So I am looking to board out these 7 cards. Note the One Ring is indestructible. That matters. This is a creature, and these are other things that I can be thinking about. This is 61. Not super interested in Blood Moon. You can get saucy with a Chalice on 0 on the play, and like that does have an impact, but again, this is just a red card for Chromox and Fury purposes, so I think I'm okay boarding like this. I don't get a turn 1 play with this, because I don't think I just YOLO a Blood Moon. But I have very good turn 2 plays. So I think this is fine. Opposing Chalice on 0 is a thing that exists. I guess I will do this now because I don't want to cast Blood Moon. I'm going to do this, drop Ancient Tomb and pass. We're hoping my opponent does not have a turn 1 creature. Oh, they have 4 mana. Alright, the One Ring. So they get protection from everything immediately, which is good. But I get to drop the first creature into play, which is hopefully better. Like, my opponent just does have, like, Solitude, though. So, like, that's a thing. And, like, they get a lot of looks at cheap removal spells here. We'll see how it goes. I have not had a one-ring game yet, but this is my opponent's second one in a row. Alright, there's some fast mana for a Magus of the Moon, which is perhaps not the strongest play in the world here. I'm going to go down Forge. It makes it a little worse if my opponent has Solitude. Oh, yeah. But otherwise, this is very good. So I will hit my opponent for 7. Alright, they are at 12. I get to drop this and play my own copy of the One Ring. Now my opponent can't take the initiative back. I will just go ahead and draw a card now. Made my land drop. I can technically deal 2 damage to this thing if I need to kill it. But I don't think I am immediately interested in doing that, because this just gives my opponent... Ooh, wow, they're going deep. It gives my opponent extra mana if I remove Magus of the Moon. Although, interestingly, it would take them off of colored mana, and, like, that does matter. Okay, sure, Solitude is fine. Ooh, a lot of colorless mana over there. Their own the One Ring. They're going to Legend Rule the first one. That's fine. And I'll probably end up doing something similar myself. Yep. Okay, cool. I get to venture. I will still trap my opponent. Oh no! Right, protection from everything. Alright, that's a good one to learn. Alright, let's draw a card. Goblin Rabble Master. So that I can start accumulating tokens, I probably do dead gone that. How much mana am I using this turn? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 normally, or 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 abnormally. I probably go 7. Nope, not gone. Dead. Dead that thing. I think I start out by playing a new The One Ring. And just immediately taking a redraw on that. I get protection from everything. Oh, actually, I could have done this differently to save some life. Learning some good things here. Okay, so my opponent played the One Ring on their turn. Oh, it doesn't matter. This just has to attack anyway. Okay, yeah, but I had multiple ways that I could have played that turn tighter. I lost a surprising amount of life there that I didn't necessarily need to lose. These burden counters are going to become real. Okay, there's Cavern of Souls. So one of those doesn't actually make colored mana right now, and one of them does. Oh, my opponent's got a Fury to clear the board. That's pretty good. Okay. They are all in on this Fury, though. They get to draw an extra card off Archives. Nice. Lose a life for the One Ring. I don't care about Magus. I'd like to just find a way to get this Fury off the table here, which I did not do. So instead, I just need to find a way to defend the initiative, which is playing at least 2 creatures. So Kenzen can also be additional chump blockers that can come down at instant speed. If I leave up 1 Ancient Tomb and 2 of these, I can do that. Playing Magus is weird. It gives my opponent better mana. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. City? 2, 3, 4. City. I can never do all of the things that I am capable of doing. I get to do X -1, which probably means that I should hold up So Kenzen. So go like City, Magus, hold up So Kenzen. That costs me the least amount of life, but does not set me up offensively as much as possible. I think that's fine. Alright, there's Magus of the Moon. And this can be done at instant speed. I do have the initiative. This is fine. Alright, so my opponent loses some life. Goes in for some more cards. These One Ring mirrors are insane. My opponent's on the better side of this. They have more artifact mana than I do. Ooh, they get to take the initiative. That's okay. I can take that back by going wide of it, and then hope that my Throne of the Dead 3 produces some good results. Ooh, okay, so they are attacking. I think one of these tokens is worth throwing away here. It's awkward if my opponent has another Fury, but I think if they had the Fury, they would have done it pre-combat and just cleared my board. All right, so I lose a little life. Multiple Goblin Rabble Masters. I'm going to go ahead and draw some cards. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Play a city, so I don't necessarily have to lose it. Ship on in there. My opponent takes 3 damage, going to 4. I take the initiative. I get to Throne of the Dead 3. I find Fury. My opponent has blocked in a way that allows, it allows me to do 3 to this and then 1 to this and clear their board. Disgusting. Yeah. So this One Ring thing is a thing. Yeah, but I hate that my deck doesn't have like Lotus Petals and theirs does. It's such a big deal in this One Ring mirror, like not exaggerating. And they also have more pitch cards than I do. I don't think I fight against those things with anything like this. But my Blood Moons sure aren't looking good in comparison to some of the stuff they have. I don't love this hand, but I'm going to kind of believe in the deck here. I have Fury for my opponent's first creature, and I have very strong cards that, assuming I can actually cast them, like, will certainly win me the game. The issue is that I can't immediately take the initiative, which is something that I really want to do in case this exact thing happens. So we are going to Fury and exile Blood Moon to kill my opponent's creature. And then I get to play this tapped. I've got Fable next turn, followed by taking the initiative the following turn, assuming that things go well on my end. But again, like, my opponent has more fast mana than I do, and in this mirror, that's what matters most. Ooh. This gives me the capability of taking the initiative. It's bad versus Solitude. It's not the best versus Dead Gone. So, like, I have to get a read on my opponent. Like, are they holding up a removal spell that costs mana specifically, or are they stuck? If they're holding up a removal spell, Fable is the play, and if they're not holding up a removal spell, Rabble Master is the play, and getting the call wrong loses me the game. They bottomed with their Scry. I think they're looking for a 4th mana. I'm going to Rabble Master and hope that it works. Oh fuck, it worked. Nice. This is going to allow me to play my 4 drops next turn. Nice, that's so clutch. All right. And there's a lesson on reading your opponents, folks. Look at every little bit of information before you make your calls, and that singular decision just won me this match. I believe we are now 4-0, only having dropped 1 game to a pseudo mirror. All right, try hard fill mode here as we go for a trophy. Do I want to keep this hand? I could turn 1 Chalice of the Void with this hand, but if I do so, it's not impressive. I could keep this hand and do a turn 2 fair Chalice of the Void into a turn 3 fair Blood Moon. I'm not overly excited about. I'm going to go into the tank for a minute. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to keep this. I'm going to. Some portion of the time, this steals me a game 1, not as frequently as it used to. But if it doesn't steal me a game 1, it might steal a Force of Will, in which case Blood Moon has a better chance of resolving and just winning this game on its own. So I'm treating Chalice of the Void as a bait spell by keeping this hand. So the next thing that I'm going to have to decide is whether or not 3 life is going to be Fuck decisions. Decisions are for the weak. Just jam. I think I just jam. Like, I can play around days by waiting a turn, but I am into this. Okay. Most of the cards in my opponent's deck are now dead. So they get this Dragon Rage Channeler plus Lightning Bolts plus any other Dragon Rage Channelers they have to try to kill me. I cannot overstate how good of a card Fury is on this board. Alright. I can play the backside of this, which no longer costs me life. I'm a mana short of doing this. I'm a little scared to do that, honestly. I don't really want to introduce the initiative into the game right now and give my opponent a way to find a basic land. Also, like, keeping a red card in hand for the purposes of Fury pitching is very important right now. If I draw another Caves of Chaos Adventurer, or if I draw a copy of the One Ring, I need to be able to play that. And if I'm going to play Trinisphere, I should do that now. I don't really want to play Caves of Chaos Adventurer anyway. I think it loses me the game some portion of the time where my opponent just like has a Lightning Bolt and Lightning Bolts my creature before I forge. But it's possible the Trinisphere ends up becoming weird for me. Okay, exact situation that I just talked about. So now I get to cast the One Ring. Get protection from everything. I will just immediately start drawing cards. Some of the card vomit will get a little bit worse due to my own Trinisphere, but I'm kind of hoping that doesn't matter. I am hoping that I just kind of bury my opponent from here. So let's draw 2. Chalice of the Void and also Shatterskull Smashing. My opponent has had a couple of turns to draw a Force of Will. Costs me 4 mana to kill both of these. So let's see if they've found it. They have not. In which case, resolving a Chalice on 1 on my next turn should probably take them off of all of their outs. And then I just have to close the game before the One Ring kills me. 1 more mana here matters so much. I think I just do this. Oh, that's very good. That means it's so easy to close out this game. Alright, X is 1. Done. At which point I'll just resolve Goblin Rabblemaster into Goblin Rabblemaster, and this game ends incredibly quickly. Lightning Bolt isn't an out anymore. Okay, yep. Lose a little life here. Back up Blood Moon. Yeah, so this is just double Rabblemaster tokens. Bash on in there. Rabblemaster gets huge. Yeah, okay, an opponent sees the writing on the wall. Really happy with how I played that one. So I am not really a fan of Chalice and Trinisphere for the most part against Delver. They do stuff, but I'm not excited about the stuff that they do, especially when I am on the draw. Like, I think it's so easy for you to play a Trinisphere hoping that it's good against Delver, and then you just get wastelanded out of the game immediately when you play a Soul Land to do this. So I think this is out, and these are out. That gives me at least 7 slots to work with, and these are the cards that I can consider. I will have 5 answers to a Murktide Regent, and I'm always doing these, and then it's just a question of, like, how do I want to pad the rest of the deck, and or do I want to do something like this and trim or cut some of these? If I don't want to just immediately try to steal games like this, I'd probably board in these 7, and Leyline on the draw becomes my lock piece. I'm still, I think, excited about Blood Moons and Magus of the Moon when I'm on the play, though. Yeah, I think for the game where I'm on the draw, don't die to creatures is the plan, and then when I'm on the play, constrain their resources might become the plan instead. This has 1 mana source. This is not keepable. This is perfectly fine. I will be keeping this. I think I'm pitching the Fury. I think there's a lot of times where Pyroblast ends up becoming a Force of Will, and it's difficult for me to pitch cast two different things here, I think. I don't think I go for... I might kill that around a daze on my first turn. Here he came back. Yep. Let's just attempt to Pyroblast and kill that. I have Simian Spirit Guide for days, which did not occur. So I will now have Simian Spirit Guide for days on Goblin Rabblemaster next. I have Fury for that. I'm not going to Fury it immediately. I am just going to have better things to do with my mana immediately. I'm hoping my opponent fires off a daze and I get to use this sneaky Simian Spirit Guide. Beautiful. I'll pay. I'm not interested in just using a Fury on this immediately, because I end up hard casting this Fury in a lot of worlds, and I also want to give my opponent a chance to cast another X1 creature. Ponder's fine. Moving forward in this game, I am going to want to dodge or find an answer to a medium-sized Murktide Regent. I've already used one of my Pyroblasts. I'll have a couple of Dead Gons and other things that I can do. I also do have to keep in mind that I have 4 Leyline of the Voids that I could draw at some point in this game. Alright, I eat 3 damage. Spirit Guide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take 3 damage to cast Fury this turn with Spirit Guide backup. If that's the case, I think I loot this away. Like, this is fine, but I have better draws. That, I think, counts as a better draw. That means that I don't have to use this as a land this turn. I'll make my treasure. Get my opponent to 17. Hard cast this Fury now. And nuke that creature. I have 8 power in play, which is a 2-turn clock. And we're looking to dodge Murktide Regent. Otherwise, I feel pretty good. Ooh, there is black in there. Alright, Thoughtseize probably takes Shatterskull Smashing here. Does. Lightning Bolt takes out Fury. This still just gives me 2 creatures on board, though, at the end of the day. And I will have 3 after I play out this Spirit Guide, which I will do. I have enough mana to, cast anything here. I do wish I had the Rabblemaster over one of these other lands here, but I think fishing... No, I wanted that land the previous turn to hold Shatterskull Smashing. It just became awkward once they Thoughtseized it. That is a shuffle off the Ponder. Alright, sure. Do you have... No Murktide. And another shuffle there. Alright, we've got a fetch. There could be a removal here. There is a removal spell here. Opponent's still on a decent clock. Fury is perfectly fine as a draw. I will do that post-combat. Pick up some treasure. Brings my opponent to 8. As much as I want to save this to use this as a creature removal spell, I think I am in put creatures on the board and try to finish this game mode before my opponent draws out of this. Like, for example, if my opponent were just to do something as simple as play Dragon Rage Channeler, that stalls both of these bodies. And that's maybe a bad example because that just dies to Fury. That is the trophy, and we are undefeated with the 1 ring in Red Prison. All right, that felt good here, and I'll say that I was a little skeptical of the 1 ring in the first couple rounds because I just didn't feel like in maybe rounds 1 through 3, like it was the best thing that I could do on any single turn of any game. And then in round 4, when we got into that like pseudo mirror situation, it was just absolutely the best thing to be doing in the matchup. And I think this card is very real in fair creature shells like this one. I will say that this decklist doesn't have any source of potential life gain to offset it, so my opponent's version, which had the Solitudes, might end up being stronger. Like, If the One Ring becomes the broken thing that these fair matchups become centered around, my opponent's deck, which had more pitch creatures than I did, and which had more like Lotus Petals and fast mana than mine did, might be better suited. But honestly, I really liked the deck list that I saw today. Like, this deck felt strong. I feel very confident that I wanted to cut Den of the Bugbear just to make sure that anytime I needed that fourth mana, I always had access to it. I very much like what is going on here. I'm not sure that I would change a single card for the next league that I played. The Sokenzen was relevant as a way to take the initiative and kind of protect myself as well. I love what I'm seeing here, and I wonder if we're going to get a Warped Legacy. I think is what I'm going to say in the early wake of this set. Some very powerful players have been printed here, and if you end up needing to get any of these, Cool Stuff Inc. Save 5% with promo code ThrabenU on your order. But yeah, definitely going to keep exploring this for any sort of serious tournament stuff that I have moving forward. Let me know in the comments what you all think of this, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!